this gentleman here, Jim, loves to go ahead and bother people, and he just launched a probe on Fani Willis, and he's demanding now info on whether or not she coordinated with federal officials, because of course, him being part of the federal government, that would only be his jurisdiction there. In terms of sending her a letter, which harkens from when he also sent the Manhattan DA a letter. This letter states, Ms. Willis's indictment and prosecution implicate substantial federal interests, and the circumstances surrounding her actions raise serious concerns about whether such actions are politically motivated. Given the weighty federal interests at stake, the committee is conducting oversight of this matter to determine whether any legislative reforms are appropriate or necessary. Now, this investigation into Willis isn't the first time Jordan demanded information related to a Trump indictment, as we all remember what he did with the district attorney there in New York. It definitely seems that Jim Jordan does not fully appreciate the whole separation of powers, the whole state government things, as well as an ongoing investigation, and the fact that this indictment and the investigation of it at the state level was really a reflection of the people of Georgia. It wasn't Fani Willis out here doing her recklessness. This is what a grand jury in Georgia, as in we the people, wanted when they went ahead and issued those grand jury indictments. Brett, what do you think about this? More federal actors really abusing their power to try to add more to the plate of these state prosecutors who are defending their states and the rights of the citizens there.
When you say add more to the plate, I love that analogy because it really does feel like I'm at a buffet and I get to choose like what way to attack Jim Jordan. Like Jim Jordan is the exact guy who would say if there was an investigation into a Republican, he'd say, "Why are you guys out there right now trying to waste taxpayer money to do these investigations, millions of dollars to happen every day? What is that? That's not a miscarriage of justice if I ever saw one." And that's one attack, is the blatant hypocrisy. He thinks that there should be no investigations against Republicans and only investigations against people who are put in place by Democratic voters, period. That's it. And he doesn't think that any Democratic vote should count anyway, which is, I guess that's some kind of value system at play that's somewhat coherent. But I think that Jim Jordan is specifically, like, this kind of thing is so Jim Jordan annoying. This guy is fighting tooth and nail to stop justice from happening. And then he's just so like, when you see the guy, Jim Jordan's affect is that guy they send you to at the car dealership after you think you finished the deal. And he's up there with his sleeves all rolled up and he's like, let me talk to you about financing options. You gotta get the true coat. Let me just talk to you really fast. Hopefully, basically I wear you down and I just take enough of your time. You're like, I'll sign anything, get the hell out of here. That's Jim Jordan. And he's so annoying that you forget that the guy is actually at the heart of like huge sexual harassment and assault scandals at the University of Ohio, the Ohio State University, when he was a wrestling coach there. Like he is the most concentrated ball of annoying. I don't know how to criticize him in this specific scenario and call out how ridiculous he is, because he's ridiculous in so many freaking ways.
The crazy thing is, I think I read a while ago how Jim Jordan has not passed any legislation over his entire time in Congress. And the thing that gets me is that those Ohio voters continue to put him in a position of power. It just makes me think like the intellectual capacity of those who have the opportunity to vote on him may not be the strongest, but it's also very much a reflection of the United States of America. And also one of the reflections of the US is Rudy Giuliani. Apparently he likes the idea of being arrested. Maybe not necessarily the whole ordeal, but Rudy really thought that the people out there in terms of the Atlantic County Jail, that those people were pro him, were backing him. It's weird, watch.
It's all of 20 minutes, so it's not an extensive period of time. But the point that I'm making is you're surrounded by prisoners. Now, that can be extremely intimidating. In my case, they were reporting for me. And I think it was legitimate, I couldn't tell. They were yelling out rather familiar campaign slogans that go back to my campaigns for mayor. So I have to assume, which doesn't say much for my city, that a lot of them may have been New Yorkers. It was like a rally.
Oh my God, like I'm just, what world does a man live? What planet What? Brett, I'm gonna go ahead and toss to you.
I love this. This is like so hilariously Uncle Rudy. Like Rudy doesn't really exist in our reality anymore. This is a guy who had so much success and so many people backing him. He was on the cover of Time magazine, America's mayor. The guy is the reason that organized crime in New York City just got obliterated when he was locking up the mafia. Like this guy was the highest highs. This guy is like in The Sopranos, they're like mentioning all the great things he did in the show The Sopranos, from a legal perspective, and how far he's fallen. Like the guy is so unmoored that he thinks that people at the jail who were clapping from him and being like, "Make America great again, buddy." These same people that are like, you know, when you talk about the justice system locking people up for little nothings, and then they just stay in jail because they have records, and then it's a slippery slope that it's very difficult to get out, or a terrible cycle that it's very difficult to get out of. A lot of people, especially that came from New York to Florida, those people started that cycle because of Rudy Giuliani. Do you think they're really stoked that this guy's out there? Maybe they're just clapping for him because A, he's horrible and they're doing it ironically, or B, they think he's a TV star. They don't know any of his history. They think he's a movie star because he was in the most recent Borat movie.
Yeah, I really don't know what's going on. If the clapping was something that Rudy heard in his head, or or if he's like kind of peddling this kind of just the Trump mentality of let me go ahead and say something that will appear to boost my ego. But I think the reality is clear that Rudy Giuliani is an absolute fool, and also he's a broke ass fool. Like that man has run his entire legacy and his bank account into the ground to the point where he's begging Trump to help pay for his legal fees. It's incredibly sad how far he's fallen. But then again, when you start by way of marrying your cousin, I can't imagine that you're gonna have a significantly grand future ahead. I really just feel like the real Rudy Giuliani caught up with him, and now it just has him in a chokehold. So whether he's hearing clapping for the rest of his life, I really don't know, I don't care. But I'm glad he has his mugshot, and I hope he faces consequences for his behavior. Yeah, and I love all of these, all of them. Oh, it's beautiful. It's not as beautiful as some celebrity mugshots I've seen, but it really just makes you. And also, wait, I don't even know the woman who is what is she, a daywalker?
Which one? The one on the top left is Sidney Powell.
The one who's translucent.
Oh yeah, the albino here. I don't know.
Yes. Who does?
I don't. That's the only one I don't know. Because from the top, you've mentioned the guy in the bottom left. Top left is Sidney Powell. Top right is Jenna Ellis. I'm not sure she knows why she's there. And then bottom right, this I don't know if people are familiar, but David Letterman did have a child with Conan O'Brien, and this is him. And he aged too fast. He's in jail. It's not so great. The last thing I'll say about this is, so Rudy. Do you know what Rudy's wife's name is?
Rudette? I don't know. What is it?
Close. Judy. Rudy and Judy Giuliani.
Now, was this the cousin?
I think so. I don't know. He has had so many wives, which is definitely, I don't care that they have a lot of wives, but neither do the people who say that marriage is like this one man, one woman till death do us part thing. And they still embrace these folks as like the moral backbone of America, which doesn't make any sense to me.
You know what? And sidebar, when you think of all of his wives, because he has like 3 or 4, I'm sure they probably ended up keeping the Giuliani name, thinking it was something, grand or worthwhile to have. And now it's just an absolute embarrassment. And as far as I'm concerned, that's a them issue. But we know, as far as things concerned, that they're really not getting any of their back alimony because that man ain't got no money.